So this is the bag bombs experiment, and as you can see, we are now outside. This is one that definitely has to be done out of doors, otherwise whoever's with you at home will be down your neck. You don't want that happening. Here's the instructions on the table in front of me in picture form. We have baking soda, sometimes called bicarbonate of soda or sodium bicarbonate. Usually in the shops it does have it as baking soda, okay, so powder there. I have a Ziploc bag. So a Ziploc bag is one of these plastic food bags, and it has a little thing along the top. We can pull it with our fingers and it seals it tight so nothing can get in or out. We're going to be using that in a minute. I've got a piece of paper towel here. This is from a kitchen roll, kitchen towel. We're going to be using that. A spoon, a little measuring jug, some brown vinegar and some clear water. Okay, this is slightly warm. So they're the ingredients. So this is what I want you to do. First off, we're going to make a little packet containing the baking soda. So watch carefully, I've got a tablespoon here. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of baking soda and I'm going to put them in to the middle of the tissue paper here. Make sure it's in a powder form, so if there's any lumps, bash them out. Okay, let's be generous, put a bit more in. Doesn't matter if you put too much really, but at least 1 full heap, preferably 1.5, okay? Then what I'm going to do is turn this in to a little envelope and wrap it up basically. So 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So we're going to use that in a minute. I'm going to leave it there right now. So we finished with this just for the moment. Now I want to test the bag. So we're going to use some water just to test it. So I want to make sure it's airtight and watertight, so nothing can get in or out. So let's just do a little test run. So far, so good. Let's have a look. All the best tests are always over your head. Risk everything. No, nothing's leaking yet. I can't feel it. So that seems okay. I haven't tested the seal yet, but I'm going to risk that one. We'll test it in a minute. So I'm going to pour that out right now because I don't want that there. Now I'm going to measure the vinegar I want to use. Remember, this is just ordinary malt vinegar, brown vinegar. So I'm going to pour it in to the bottle. I'm going to measure about 200 or 300 millilitres. Actually, I'm going to put a bit more in this one. That's one of the things you can vary. So I'm going to put a bit more in, okay? And let's see what happens with that. So I'm going to pour that in here. Let's just have a look how much we got in there. So, well, it's well over 200 on the way to, what was that? Nearly 250 ml in this particular one. Might be worth paying attention to that, see what difference it makes. Okay. Last thing, I'm going to add about half as much water. So we had about 250 ml in there. So I'm going to have about 125 ml water. Add that as well, just in there. About roughly half as much. So whatever you put in the vinegar, add about half as much water, okay, so far. Now I'm going to take the little packet of baking soda. This is where it gets a bit fiddly. So what you've got to do is put it in there. Now hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm gripping the little packet I made through the plastic. I don't want it going into the vinegar just yet. And then I'm going to seal the bag as best I can, as quickly as I can, but you've got to do it properly, so take as much time as it needs. And obviously with just one finger, or one hand to use, a couple of fingers, it's a bit more fiddly. So take your time, you've got to make sure this is closed properly, okay? Because if it doesn't seal properly, it won't work. So seal it properly, and I'm hoping that's done. We're going to find out any minute. So that's done there. I'm now going to drop the sachet in the water, give it one last shake, give it a bit of a shake, let's see what happens. So what was going on? Well, I think you had a pretty good idea just by watching. Because we're using a see-through bag, you can see what's happening inside, can't you? Now, hopefully you can see closely enough. Let's have a think of what you saw, and then we'll decide what it all means. You saw that you put in the baking soda inside. As soon as the baking soda went into the vinegar seeped through the little packet we had it contained in, the little paper towel. The vinegar went and got inside of where all the baking soda was and started reacting with it. So a chemical reaction was taking place when the vinegar was combining with the baking soda. And when that happens here, that chemical reaction gives off carbon dioxide gas. It makes lots of gas, and it started foaming up inside. You saw that happening even long before the bag broke. Because the gas was continuously being made and of course needed more room, and that's why the bag was blowing up. And eventually there was so much in there, you saw it when I was holding it out, got so tight, eventually the bag wasn't strong enough. Now I want you to notice where this has broken. It hasn't broken on the Ziploc. The Ziploc actually is still okay. I hope you can see this. It's actually broken along the Ziploc. It's actually, the plastic bag itself is broken. So there's quite a lot of force there, blasting through the sides. Why did I put water in? Because that's an interesting question. The main reason is I wanted to increase the volume of the liquid. Now this vinegar we used, the acid in it, because that's what was doing the chemical reaction, is more than strong enough for this experiment. So by mixing it with water, about half as much water, it was still well strong enough, and it meant there was a bit more space taken up by the liquid, so we didn't have to make so much gas to fill the bag up. That was the main reason. I actually did use slightly warm water. Now it doesn't matter whether you do or not, although that could be a variable, couldn't it? So try different temperature water, but using warmer water means it speeds the chemical reaction up just a little bit. But it will still work anyway, and have some fun with this one. So what variables could you try? Well, if you were watching carefully, if you did this yourself, I'm sure you can see lots of things you could change. The water I've already mentioned, so you could try different temperature water, make it much hotter. This was just a bit warm, so make it much hotter. Don't make it so hot you can't handle it, of course, but make it hot enough so you can handle it, but try hot water. How about freezing cold water? What would that do? What about if we change the temperature of the vinegar? How about if we use hot vinegar instead? Or as well as? How about freezing cold vinegar? I wonder what that would do. What about if we change the amount of baking soda we use? You noticed how much we use there? What about if you use lots more baking soda or lots less? What about if we used different size bags? Do you think that'll make a difference? If you can buy Ziploc bags of different sizes, try the different sizes. What about when we wrapped up the baking soda in the paper towel? We only use one sheet. I wonder what would happen if we used 2 or 3 or 4 sheets, what it would do to the experiment you've just seen here. I'm sure you can think of some other things.